All right. We are live, everyone. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in for another episode. Well, no, not another episode, but I get so used to saying that, my brother.
I
I,
know the feeling. I know the
oh my
feeling, sir.
God. No, we have another Global Grief Conference presenter. His name is Harvey Laguerre, and he is the host of Men Are the Prize. He's going to be hosting on Saturday, right? And
Oh yeah.
he's going to be also hosting two of the live panel discussions, the table talk discussions, and he's here to talk about a little bit about his work and what he's going to be presenting at the 2023 conference this year. Harvey, how you doing, brother?
Mr. Lynch, I'm well. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh man.
This is excellent. As Tony mentioned, my name is Harvey Laguerre. I host Men Are the Prize, the podcast. It is an open space, a safe space for men to be emotional, to talk about anything and everything in a space that is for him, with no judgment, no reprisal, nothing of the sort. And I've had the benefit of speaking to a lot of different men, a lot of different phases of life, age, color, whatever.
Love
And
it.
one of the guests, one of the best guests I had, of course, was Tony Lynch. And we discussed his life and how, how grief and everything that happens to us really defines the kind of person that we are. And we discussed grief, and it was a wonderful conversation. And afterwards, we just talked, and I learned so much from every man that I speak to. I pick up a little something from every man. How, Tony, how you handled everything that life threw at you. It was just a pleasure to speak with you. And all this, we were talking, and I found grief to be an interesting thing to talk about. So through these conversations that I've had, through the benefit of doing a Facebook Live with Tony, with other great people talking about grief and how we deal with it, all of a sudden, this, the Global Grief Conference, and Harvey, you're gonna be a part of it. I'm like, I have to be in this. I'm immersed in this subject, and I have to be here for it. So, because of Tony, because of the time I spent with him, because I was on yours and then you were on mine, after talking with him, I couldn't miss this. So, I will be deeply involved in this conference in a few ways. One, because I'm a podcast host. Obviously,
Mhm.
I'm used to talking to people, and the idea came to me, the idea of just talking about grief in general, just getting some people, grief counselors, people who've dealt with it. Let's talk about grief. It's such a large subject. It's such a wide and varied subject that different ways, men deal with it one way, women different ways, younger men, older men. I was interested in how we deal with grief in a spiritual lens. How do we deal with grief if if I'm Christian, if I'm a Buddhist, if I'm an atheist, all of these different religions, different spiritual levels. How do we deal with grief? And I thought it's an interesting discussion. So that's what we're going to do. The first Friday of this conference, we're going to be talking about grieving in a spiritual sense. And I
Right.
think it's going to be an interesting conversation. We get a bunch of people sitting here and we're just going to talk about it, because I think at best, every subject that we deal with, when we talk it out, we learn from each other, we acclimate ourselves to other people's experiences, we get better in every way. So I'm like, that's going to be fantastic. Let's talk about this, let's get this out.
Yes.
So Friday night, that's the first time you'll see me, and that'll be us talking about grief in a spiritual sense. um, the next morning, Saturday morning, I will be presenting specifically, so not the podcast with me just talking. And what I am going to talk about is how to deal with the grief of disappointing somebody we've lost. What do
Yes.
you do when somebody you love, a parent, a mentor, a family member who's been there for you, who raised you, who set you on a path to do this, and this is what they thought you were going to do. This is what success, this is the success they saw for you in their eyes for you.
Yes.
And then you lose them. And then what do you do when their vision of success for you is not your vision of success for you? How do you deal with that? There's so many facets to that. And I'll try to dive into that. How do I handle if my dad always thought that I was going to be an electrician because that's what he did? We grew up that way. The family did that. What do I do if, I'm not handy? I don't want to do that. I want to be a musician, but I've lost my father. and I know he's looking down on me and I'm not doing what he expected me to do. How do I handle that? So we'll talk about that. There's so many facets. How do we handle grief? How long do we let other people determine our lives? Because when we talk about grief and how we deal with these people wanting this from us, and they want the best for us, they're our family, they're our people. But even before they were gone, they were kind of determining what you were going to be. They were
Right.
kind of determining the kind of person you were going to be. And then when they leave us, they're still doing it. Now we're going to talk about before they pass, being your own person and loving what other people want for you, but understanding that the only person who can truly determine who and what you are is you. And
Right.
when you understand that early, even when they pass, and understand the best thing is that it's not that these people wanted you to be this specific thing, they just wanted you to be. And when you recognize that, then it's so much easier to deal with the grief. So we're going to get into that discussion. So that's what we're going to talk about. I just want to give you a little bit, but we'll save the rest of that for the conference when we
Oh,
speak.
you already know, man. You already know. Like I'm over here, like how far? Okay, I'm rolling with it, man. You know what I'm saying?
Just a
So,
little taste. Just a
yeah,
little
man.
something.
And for the listeners that are tuning in right now, you know what I'm saying? We do welcome all questions and comments. So go ahead and write your comments in there. Harvey is an amazing person. Like I said before, we've had the chance to talk. We've had the chance to explore different options and things like that. And the one thing that he didn't say is that, if you guys are tuning in, he will be hosting table talks for Friday and Saturday night. Like you said before, the first night is going to be talking about culture and religion. The second night, we're going to be talking about how to use your present situation to deal from past traumas, you know what I'm saying, for family members. And so, I mean, these things are amazing. And his segment is going to be off the chain, people. You know what I'm saying? If you guys have not tuned in to listen to his podcast, Men Are the Prize, he does that one, but he also does something else for everyone else too. He hosts a podcast with his wife. Let's talk about that.
Thank you. Yes. So, Men of the Prize is, I guess, that passion project for me because I wanted to be able to speak for men and allow men to speak in a good space. But before I started that podcast, I really started with podcasts with my wife. During COVID, when we were trapped in our homes and we couldn't do anything, it was just me, my wife, and a mic in a room, and we would just talk, and we had great conversations. And we always thought that those conversations should be heard by others. I love my wife, but we disagree on many things. So we'd always have interesting, deep conversations. And for us, the podcast, which is called Love is Black, is a podcast about relationships. We are a couple who is entirely in love with each other. We can disagree about things. We can talk and we can do it in a respectful fashion. We are talking about Black love represented the right way. We are a couple, two intelligent, educated people who love each other. And it's the kind of love that is not always seen on TV or in music or anywhere in the media. So we wanted to make a point that when you saw Black love, it is represented the way it is. Black love is a beautiful thing. The Black family is a beautiful thing. And we're here to promote it continuously, to talk about it, to show that we are just like anybody else. We're a couple. We disagree, but we're married. We're in it for the long haul. So doing that podcast, I enjoyed it so much. And it was just first season is just us talking. Me and my wife talking about our relationship that first year. How do we make it through? Right before we were married, she was pregnant. How do we deal with that? We have an age difference. Family just didn't entirely agree with it, but all these barriers, all these things. How did we make it through? How did we stick together? That's that whole first season. That's what we talk about. Season 2, we just had couples, Black couples. Tell us your love story. Is that love is beautiful, but hearing how Black love blossoms is even better. And we got to great Black couples telling us what's going on. How did y'all meet? What struggles did you go through? Family didn't like it. What did you do? How did you propose? All of that. What changed as soon as you got married? What happened when you had kids? How did that change? Relationships are difficult.
Right.
But
Yes.
it's when you succeed with them, when you put the time and the effort and the work, that's when you really appreciate it, and that's when you can. That's beautiful love right there, and that's what that podcast is. Love is black is a black love positivity podcast. You
Right.
want to see love in a good light, in a great light. Honestly, I'm here. I'm there. My wife is is really the star. This beautiful, intelligent woman. I'm just there to make sure people don't stay up there and appreciate her. But that podcast is what led to me doing Men of the Prize, the podcast. And I am blessed. I'm not a particularly religious person, but I'm lucky to be able to talk to my wife about our relationship and about Black relationships. And then also to talk to men about their relationship with themselves. So
Nice.
that's me.
And that's how we connected as well, because I do men's grief work, and you host a podcast where men can come and be open about those things. And when I started first podcasting with my original podcast platform, it was all about showcasing those stories with men who have gone through the muck, but no one wanted to listen to us. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted to
Right.
put those stories out there for other men like myself, um, that was searching for some sort of rope, right? And that's how all of this initially started. It was like, man, I know there's more men out there like myself. I want to connect with them. And what ended up happening is that the approach that I took before was not the approach that I was supposed to take. And I was supposed to take another path, right? And so that's how all of this come about, man. And this conference that's coming about, like I said, this is our second annual. So our first one, yeah, man, we did pretty well, especially coming from a place where I didn't know how to do it. I just, was crazy enough to say, I'm going to do something like this.
Mhm.
And then here we are going into our second year, and we have a lot of great presenters in there. Have you taken the chance to get to meet any of the presenters that are coming?
Um, as I think we just had one meeting, but I haven't had a chance to meet anyone on the separate level, which I'm gonna definitely take advantage of. With this conference, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of expertise, there's a lot of experience that's
Yeah,
going to,
yeah.
and I'm gonna dive in. There's so many people I want to talk to, so I don't know connections that I plan on making, and it feels like it's gonna be an emotional one. It's gonna be a real space where there's a lot of feelings and stuff floating around, and I love that space, and I want to be a part of it. So I can say for now I haven't met a few people we've spoken to, but I'm going to make a point to reach out to as many people as I can because
Yeah,
I
most
feel like I'm going to
definitely.
leave this thing changed. When it's done, I feel like I'm going to be a different person, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and the beautiful part about this conference is that it's free, right? It's free to anyone who wants to come in and join in and listen. You know what I'm saying? Grab these tools and make connections with the people that are there. Because these are actual grief workers. These are mental health advocates. They are podcasters and things like that. So I look at it and say, you know what? The podcasters have an endless supply of material if that's what they do. So choose. But also, the people who are listening, they get an idea of the sort of support you're going to get from these grief workers, right? And these people are from everywhere, so everyone has a different approach in how we do things, right? And to me, that is the way that it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? The people who are looking for their support, you should have multiple options to find a support that suits you. And this conference is a perfect place to do it, to showcase our talents. You know what I'm saying? Yourself, you're coming in and you're opening up the space to have these conversations because grief should be normalized. The conversation behind death and, what I'm saying, what to do, how people feel, things like that, but also connect, right? Build a community around the people that you're now in the same tribe with.
Mm, true, true.
Is what I like,
I think, yeah,
and I
but
learned
I
that a
like.
couple years ago. Find your tribe, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Because
sir. Oh, yes, sir.
yeah, like even though I do a nonprofit for men who have gone through loss, I also realize that there are certain things um, that I may not have experienced, but I enjoy having the resources to go, hey, maybe this is not a good fit for you, but I do know some other people that may be a better fit than me. And I love not turning away anyone, right? And this conference is a way for us to reach those surrounding communities, right? And just tell them, hey, you're not alone in this journey. What we're going to do is give you some tools, educate you, but also leave the door open for you to connect with us as well, right? And for
Yeah.
other grief workers that are out there, like I've been trying to tell them, like there's a place where we could come and be supported, and what I'm saying, be around people that speak the same language as us, right?
Sure.
Because it's a huge it's a huge domain when we start talking about those things, especially when it comes down to men.
Yeah, definitely. If grief is evergreen, everybody feels it in some form or
Right,
fashion.
right.
And we all deal with it in a different way. So you come to a conference like this, and I should be able to find somebody who understands how I deal with grief, to be able to lead me, to guide me, to set me in the right direction. So groups, so something like this, where you have people from so many different places,
Hmm.
different parts of the world, different ethnicities, different religious beliefs, spiritual backgrounds, all this makes this a safe space for everyone. You will find somebody, some experience, something that you can connect with, something that you can understand. This is me, and somebody understands. And hopefully you can be that for somebody else. That's why this is going to be great. This community, we're here for everyone. We're going to learn and we're going to teach at the same time. And this is going
Exactly.
to be a wonderful space. This is what we're here for, to help each other. We all look the same, but in the end, that feeling that we deal with is something we all share. And what better way to learn from it is to see how other people grieve, to see how other people struggle, to understand what life is for people and how we deal with heartbreak. And the better we understand everybody else, the better this world's going to be.
Oh
So
man.
I'm thrilled. This is going to be amazing, man. This is going to be fantastic.
Man, I am excited, man. I am so excited. Like I said, this year we decided to add in a few other things. The table talk discussions, some panel discussions. We have, you know, it's a lot going out there. Mario is a person that what I'm saying. He just left a comment in there saying, "Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for helping people." Hey, Mario is out there doing some great things. And I'm gonna do a shameless plug in here. So if you guys haven't checked it out yet, go check out Unarmored Talk with Sergeant Major Mario P. Fields. He's a friend of mine. The show is amazing. And you know what I'm saying? And we're not competing with one another. I want you guys to go out and check out Men Are the Prize too, because I've been following Harvey for quite some time. I'm getting caught up on episodes and things like that. Some amazing stuff there. You know what I'm saying? But also, if you're a couple and you guys are, you may have some questions that you haven't asked, make sure you go and check out not Mario's, but Harvey and his wife's podcast as well. You know what I'm saying? Because they are bringing some amazing topics to the table, man. I'm telling you, this year's conference, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for the newcomers, but I'm also excited for the veterans as well, because our first go around, people was like, oh, like, what can we expect? And I said, hey, this platform is for you. This is for you. Like, I don't want to take away nothing from what you're doing. As a matter of fact, I want to amplify what you're doing. So whatever education, you know what I'm saying, podcast, whatever you want to do, this is your platform. You know what I'm saying? Show the world what you're capable of doing. You know what I'm saying? And Mario, always a pleasure, brother. Always a pleasure. You know what I'm saying? All the love, man. That man works hard. So I mean, I am truly, truly excited, man. Anything that kind of sticks out to you at this year's
Uh,
conference?
I got to say, I think I don't know, when you think of conferences like that, I think you always think of something that's going to be this big joyous celebration type of thing. So the idea of kind of discussing something that can seem negative, that
Mhm.
can kind of seem maybe not something to talk about, but the idea, it doesn't feel like it's going to be like a somber space. It feels like it's going to be open. It's going to be well received. We're going to be happy people talking about an important subject. It
Right.
doesn't seem at first glance, I feel like it may not be something like, oh, I don't want to be, oh, that's going to be sad, a whole sad weekend. But that's not the case. The fact
No.
that we're going to take a subject that's important, shine a light on it again, and really help people. It's going to be educational, it's going to be important, and it's going to be profound. Something like this, to discuss this in a happy space discussing something that is not always happy,
Right.
and
Yes.
with people, with intelligent, educated people who can talk about sad moments in somewhat of an excited fashion. That's what I like the idea. This is not something I would typically be interested in doing, but even if I wasn't speaking and presenting, I would be watching this and appreciating all the knowledge, all the vulnerability that's going to come from this conference. This is, people are just opening up. And
Yeah.
that's what I love in the podcast. So I get people to open up. Give me a whole weekend of people doing that, then I'm set. So this is actually fun. Yeah,
I
man.
love it, man. I love it. Mario was a presenter from last year, and he had an amazing segment. And so we had a blast with that as well. So Mario's kind of like in the background. He's like, man, I honestly, I agree and everything, which I appreciate that. I do appreciate that, my brother, and everything. So, man, just once again before we wrap everything up, how can people find you?
So, and by the way, thank you for mentioning my Love is Black podcast. We appreciate that. If you want to hear me and my wife talk about relationships, about us, about anything, you can find our podcast at loveisblackpodcast.com. That is our website. Our episodes are there. Feel free to give us a listen. We just completed season 4. We had a great run. Season 5 is going to be something entirely different. We're changing the game. So
Mm.
that's that. But in terms of Men of the Prize, the space for men, were the space that introduced me to Tony. So obviously, it's a great thing. When you want to listen to every episode, there's a different man. I ask similar kind of questions. I'm trying to dive in, dig into the psyche, understand this person, how you became the man you are, what did you deal with to succeed. You can find my podcast at harveylaguerre.com. All of my episodes, that is audio and video, so you can watch them and listen to them all. And just to give you an idea, I take the letters in the word prize. Each letter represents a great characteristic of being a man. So I ask them the leading questions. I'm getting into what did you do? What's your purpose? What's your zeal? What do you expect of yourself? What have you dealt with? How have you overcome things? And every man, I ask these same kind of questions just to open them up and get some real discussions in. And I thought the only way to do something like this, to kind of put men in a space that we're not entirely comfortable with,
Right.
is to do myself first. The first episode is me. I talk to me. What do I think my purpose is? How resilient am I? Everything. I kind of go at myself. I answer these questions, so I'm my own guest. And from then on in, friends and the conversations get better and better. So if you want that, if you want to hear some men talking, so that you understand it as a man, that it's fine. It's comfortable. You're not by yourself. You are. There's plenty of men struggling just like you. If you want to hear men going through that same struggle, check out harveylaguerre.com. That is my website for Men Are the Prize, the podcast.
Nice. Very.
Otherwise, you're gonna see me in a month or two. We going in. We going in.
Like I said, I'm really excited about that. And for you guys who are just tuning in, what I'm saying, Harvey will be presenting at this year's Global Grief Conference 2023. He will be presenting on Saturday. And so if you guys don't know what he's presenting on, go back and watch the full video. He lays it out for you. But he's also going to be hosting Table Talk Friday and Saturday night. And so we got some interesting topics that are going to be going on over there. So you guys be sure to tune in. Harvey go check him out. I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing. You guys are going to be, especially you men out there that are struggling with things like that. With the questions, go there and check out his channel, man. You know what I'm saying? For you couples out there, go check out Love Is Black. Right, you know what I'm saying? With him and his wife, they have some really great discussions and everything like that. And so, with that being said, if you had any words to tell the people who are going to be watching this conference, what would you tell them?
I would leave you with this. When I do my podcast, I always like to leave some words of wisdom. I'm going to do the same here. How you feel has a profound effect on how we live. How we handle situations has a profound effect on how we walk on this earth. And a lot of us men do not really get into how we feel about situations, whether
Mhm.
it's happiness, whether it's sadness, whether it's gain, whether it's loss. This conference is going to allow you to see how other people deal with grief. You're going to see that it is okay to struggle when we lose a loved one, and to understand that grief isn't just about the loss of life, but it's a loss of anything.
Right.
Faith,
Yes.
a job, a person, a relationship. Grief is a huge subject, and this is going to be an opportunity for you to see grief in so many different facets and in a safe space. You sit at home, watch these videos, listen to us talk about grief, and understand that how you felt that day when you lost something you loved. It was okay to feel
Yes.
how
Yes.
you responded. It was okay to feel that way. What you wanted to do, how you felt, a bad decision you thought about making, but you didn't. It is okay to feel that way. We are not alone in this. We are all together. And you're going to see how together we are at this conference. We're about to show you, to expose you to what it means to grieve and to understand that it is a regular human emotion. And when you recognize that grief is not a bad thing, it is a wonderful, open thing that you feel better about after you've experienced it. And you're going to
Yes.
feel the same way after you experience this conference. So I can't wait to see you there.
I love it, man. I love it. And for those of you who have tuned in, we have just completed another presenters episode with Harvey Laguerre. And like I said, if you guys didn't catch the whole episode, go back. It will be recorded. It's going to be across all social medias. If you guys are interested in attending the conference, you can register through Facebook. You can register through LinkedIn. Also, we have a QR code that'll take you straight to where you need to be. Go to the website, check it out there. But what I'm saying, if you want to support the channel, the YouTube channel, go to Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. Subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment, and hit that bell notification. That way, you will always be notified when we go live and for these events that we are holding, because we're doing it all. We're doing it big, fellas and women. We are doing it big out here. So I don't want you guys to miss anything that we have going on. We got a lot of amazing presenters coming up, so stay tuned for that as well. And with that being said, guys, thank you, love you, and and you know what? Thank you for filling my heart with gratitude for allowing us to serve you. And until the next presentation, you guys keep your head up, and we love you.